The sponsor of this episode is Chadwell Supply, an OG in the multifamily industry. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned maintenance and repair supplier, and they deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. To find out how Chadwell Supply will make your day better, visit www.chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Well, welcome to Decoding Multifamily, powered by the Multifamily Media Network. The Media Network is a free media platform on a mission to inspire the next generation of multifamily leaders. With 14 different weekly podcasts from a roster of hosts who are not only practicing multifamily experts, but also industry icons, we bring you the latest insights, trends, and success stories from the multifamily world. Stay informed about each unique podcast and catch up on the latest episodes by visiting the multifamilymedianetwork.com. Plus, don't miss out on our educational and inspiring multifamily blogs. Tune in, get inspired, and transform your multifamily journey with us. So I have with me my fantastic co-host, Suzanne Hopson. Suzanne, we've got a great guest lined up today who's joined us. Why don't you introduce her?
Tracy. Yeah, just to tell a little bit about you, I've got a scoop. Again, you can add anything that you'd like, but this is Tracy. So a top tier real estate professional. Actually, she is managing partner from Gallery Residential, and she's here to share her wealth of knowledge and experience with us. She's carved out quite a reputation for herself in the residential market, and this is thanks to her remarkable eye for detail, which I think we're going to dig into, learn more about, and her deep understanding of what clients really need. With years of experience under her belt, Tracy's dedication to her clients and her passion for real estate are evident in everything that she does. From helping first-time homebuyers find their perfect nest to guiding seasoned investors through complex transactions, Tracy's commitment to excellence shines through. She's known for her personalized approach, ensuring that every client feels heard and also supported throughout the entire process. So we're going to dive into Tracy's journey today and hopefully uncover some of her secrets for her success and getting her expert advice on navigating the current real estate landscape. Welcome, Tracy.
All right, thanks, Suzanne.
So let's just start out with a question that we love to ask all of our guests. And it really has to do with your journey in multifamily and how you got into this business to begin with.
All right. Well, my journey is very similar to many people's journey of people that of similar age. So I didn't mean to land into the multifamily business. I grew up here in Atlanta, went to the University of Georgia, and I graduated in 1988. And believe it or not, it was a big recession at the time. So there were no jobs to be had. I actually majored in management information systems, which we all think is quite hysterical because I'm probably the least technology savvy person in the office. But that was, when you think of 1988, that was before email, that was before PCs, it was before laptops. So it was really, it was learning different types of programming languages, actually. So really, I consider my whole degree really solving puzzles, which actually is very similar to what we do in the multifamily world. So when I graduated college, it was just very hard to find a job. So, some of my girlfriends actually started leasing apartments, and I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. I could do that while I'm looking for my real job. And so I started, I actually went out and tried to rent an apartment because I didn't want to move back in with mom and dad, but didn't realize you had to have a job to actually get an apartment. So on the golf cart, I actually said, oh, do y'all have any positions open? And so basically I got hired there on the golf cart. I laugh, but that was at the Arbors at Winter's Chapel in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. And my first boss was Tamla Koval, which a lot of people know Tamla. She actually hired me. She was our regional director. And it was a lease up, huge lease up, 572 units. So anyways, so I started out on property, on site. So learning how to lease. And then I did get moved up pretty quickly because that's right when computers came out on the properties. And I was the only one that knew how to operate the computer. So I got moved up to assistant manager like in 3 months. And so, but really because I knew how to operate it.
Did you get the apartment on the golf cart?
Yes, I did. I got a great apartment, a discount, and it was a fun time. We had a great team, and even though I took the job as, I'll just do this until I find my real career. I ended up going back to school, got a master's degree, and stayed with the Worthing Companies for 20 years.
That's amazing. It's an amazing story. And I will say, even though we do get a lot of the same on how people got into the business, we have never heard the golf cart story. So you have truly, opened up a whole new thing here. So we appreciate that very much. Yeah, those were the days, weren't they? Like those leasing days and the fun and the free apartment,
very discounted apartment. They're not very dissimilar to what they are today. That's why I laugh because, starting this new company that I'm with now, Gallery Residential. So part of our focus is trying to do things differently because there's so many things that are done exactly the same way as when I was on site in 1989. So trying to, there's a few technologies that have changed, but besides that, not much has changed.
Yeah.
True. Well, I can't wait to dive into that with you since we both know Tammy. We all know how into tech she is, and I think our group is as well. It's one of the things that is probably the best thing for our industry right now, and also the most challenging. And so I can't wait for us to dive into that. I think you'll have a lot to offer the crowd. So, next question is some of the biggest challenges you've faced. You've been in the industry now a very long time. Tell us a little bit about some challenges that you've faced along the way.
We're in a very unique spot where, a year and a half ago, we decided to form Gallery Residential. My business partner is Bruce Sanders. And so, basically we were able to come into this with no baggage. So we have no existing technology. So we were able to, when we first came into the space, we actually partnered with First Communities, which is now part of Asset Living. And they were servicing our back office. So all of our IT, our HR and accounting. So that was unique. So that's really what allowed us to get up and running. And during that first year period, we were trying to figure out what we wanted our technology stack to be. So we've been very focused on not introducing a lot of technologies, trying to stay all within one stack that has, without putting a lot of add-ons right now, which I know a lot of our vendor partners and associates are not, that's not great to hear, but trying to not complicate the leasing day, being able to not have multiple logins, things like that. So we were in this unique position to be able to introduce one technology that does almost everything. And so that's been awesome, and again, I said it's like we didn't have to go back and reinvent the wheel. We were starting from scratch. And then really just, when I say going back to the basics, like really doing in-person training, not doing classes online, and even if it is online, we're doing it virtually with the real person. So, again, it's the way I learned, which, I think Suzanne, maybe you learned the same way. And it was, I'm to this day, my classes were many decades ago. And I can remember specifically Tamla actually taught our class, which is funny, but I can specifically remember what I learned. And just so going back to, their skills in different ways. And it's very hard to sit in front of a screen for multiple hours when you have your emails are chiming in, your phone's chiming. So that's, really what we're doing. I mean, it's literally getting back to the basics and just trying to have as few disruptors as possible and just keeping it simple.
Yeah. And I think our prospects want that too. They want it to be simple, right? Fast, simple, inexpensive, get what they pay for, show up on movie day and actually get what they saw online or toured. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of tech. I believe it does make our lives easier in so many ways. But on the flip side, it can really complicate things as well. And so we're really having to, think differently in that way. I know there's like a what is it called? Not a revolution, but there's a group that doesn't want to go back to the basics, right? Like the word back to basics. Like, what does that mean out there in the space? And I think it really means what you just said, which is don't complicate it. Being basic means, a lack of complexity, which I think, to your point, is going to be a winning thing. I think you're right too. You had said this in our last, question and answer about, just how the market is and how people are coming in as employees. And, it was a different market back, a few years ago. And knowing that, you have to work differently. We have to train our people differently. The expectations are different. I'm finding that, a lot of the clients that I work with are like, well, we didn't have to do this before. Like, what? Why do we have to do this now? And some of those things were missed and we still made the rents. We still were able to be very successful on our penciling of the bottom line. And now the lid's been lifted and we can see all the broken processes, underneath of it. But it sounds like you're doing the right thing in terms of being able to handle that, knowing that that's probably going to be the case and helping clients to be able to, get past that. Can you discuss, and it sounds like you have like some recent projects, but can you discuss a project or initiative in your career that you were particularly proud of that you could share with our group?
Yeah, it was Suzanne, initiative. I couldn't hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Paul, you can help me.
Yeah, a project or initiative that you've been proud of, where you could share what it was and how you did it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there's so many. I think, I've always been really focused on the customer experience and the customer journey, which again, I think as companies get larger, that gets lost somewhat. So in my mind, just always remembering why we're doing what we're doing. And it's really to provide a great service, a great great customer service, great hospitality to the residents that live with us. And so just really trying to think outside the box and figuring out how to make those experiences amazing and really build a sense of community. So I can't really take credit for it, but we have, in the past 3 or 4 years, I've had team members that work with me where we put an artist in residency program together. So there's a lot of times new developments, we're going into neighborhoods where maybe artists lived that they were, they lost their home or, they can't really afford to live in the new building. So this is really a way of giving back to the community, but allowing artists to live in the buildings and really become our social directors. So it could be, and the artist could be, any type of artist. It could be a chef. It could be a musician. It could be a muralist. We even have a horticulturalist on one of our properties. So, you're just really coming up with, what is that property's personality? Why do people live there? What are our residents interested in? And really being able to explore that program. There's some ownership groups that have multiple artists in the building. So, you have a chef with a horticulturalist, and then you have the musician that plays while you're eating your food. So you can imagine how fun these resident events are. And it really forms a community. It encourages people to meet their neighbors, and hopefully they live there longer. So, which is the ultimate goal.
Chadwell Supply is the proud sponsor of Multifamily Media Network. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned MRO supply company and is committed to the multifamily industry. They deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. Chadwell Supply offers valuable resources such as maintenance training, a dedicated renovations team, and procurement platform assistance, ensuring multifamily properties operate more efficiently. Now, by partnering with Chadwell Supply, they'll help communities stand out in an increasingly competitive market. So learn more at chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Yeah, I have a question. I first became aware of you this year at Apartmentalize, where you're doing a session, I think, with Jake Jarman with Redstone,
Mm-hmm.
and the two of you talking, the distinct differences between the way you both operate. I was fascinated because it really seemed like when you formed Gallery, like you said, you kind of were disrupting the way it's typically done. And then when you just shared with us that your back office stuff was being done by First Communities, which is now Asset Living, that's just a fascinating thing to me. Once Asset Living took over, did you take that in house?
Well, yeah, but that was always the original plan
Yeah.
was, to be, and they had First Communities they did this for other ownership groups as well. So it worked out great. And, I think, it was a way for us to get up and running as fast as we could. I mean, you can imagine starting a management company from scratch.
Right.
We had a head of accounting, but we didn't have to hire the other accountants
Right.
and the HR group was amazing. We were able to tie into their health insurance and benefits. So it was a great relationship. But right when the Asset Living merger happened, we still stayed on for like another 6 months, but it was always the plan for us to be able to venture out on our own.
Yeah, that's just so I find that very interesting.
Well,
way
it's
that
also
worked out.
like just think of, okay, how can we do this differently, right?
Yeah.
So when I threw the idea up to Mitch and Kevin at First Communities, because they were friends of mine, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we do that for other people." We're like, "You do?" I was like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah.
That's great. Well, tell everybody real quick a little bit about Gallery as far as where you are today and the types of properties that you have. Are you completely owner managed or third party? What is
Yeah,
your?
well, so we're a little bit more than a year in, and it's been with some great success. We are well over the 10,000 unit mark.
Wow.
So I know it's a little crazy, but we took on 3 portfolios that helped, and then we're very attractive to developers. So we have a lot of lease ups because you can imagine they're very interested as well into the whole resident experience. And, they've dreamed that this is their baby. And so they've dreamed about this coming to fruition for years in the last couple of years. And so we look at ourselves as actually being able to come in and make their dreams become reality. So, and we do that through all of our programming and who we're very, the team is hand selected for each asset because, each property in my mind, each property has its own personality and what it's trying to be and what it's in the residents that it will attract. So that's, and getting back to hospitality. So really focusing on that resident experience and again, the client experience, they have these business plans that they really need to be executed. So by keeping a flat leadership, I love being involved in the brainstorming exercises and things like that, coming up with the ideas. But we have a great operations team that's able to take the ideas of the ownership groups and actually have them, again, become reality. And that's what we've proven out time and time again that we're able to do even in this difficult market. I'm not saying that it's easy because it's not, especially right now. But I will say, having done this for so many years and seeing so many cycles, when the economy does come back, it comes back very fast and very quickly. And sometimes it feels like it's overnight. And I know we're all waiting for that to happen. And of course, we don't know when that's going to happen, but we're going to be very well positioned to be able to execute and the business plans that we've taken on from our ownership group. So yeah, so everything's going great, and we have a really strong team over here.
I just think it's very impressive of going from starting a company a little over a year ago, and getting to 10,000 units in a year. That has to be some kind of a record. It seems like it's impressive.
Indeed.
Thank you.
You can have a sidebar afterwards, Tracy. I'm thinking of the brain on that one. Yeah, no, it is amazing when you talk about it from such a service orientation, not necessarily investment only. I think it appeals to, the next question that I have, which is really about the people part and how you can attract great talent in today's market. From your perspective and what you're doing at your company, what are some of the things that you're doing to attract top talent?
Really, if people want to work for a company that has a great culture, and if you can prove that out and show them a path of what their experience is going to be like, we have not had an issue in recruiting, and I think we talk about our motto, our purpose, our core values. And if your personal core values align well with what ours are, it's going to be a great match. And it's a very fun and exciting place to be right now. And so I don't know exactly what the secret is, but I think that just providing a very fun place to come to work. And I know me personally, I can't wait to get to the office every day to see all these people and see what we can do next. And I think everybody has that same, they have that same opinion, and we, it's a little bit of the David and Goliath story. So we've been able to accomplish a lot in that short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm totally impressed. Yes, very, very cool. And I think it goes into the next question, which is really about leadership. And a lot of our listeners maybe are just starting out in a leadership role, whether it's, manager on a property, or it's a regional manager, or even a VP. What can you offer or share a nugget or two about leadership and what really makes a great leader? Things that you've done in your career that have really paid off.
Well, first I'll say no one is a natural born leader. That you have to learn how to be a leader, and it takes a lot of work, and you really have to self-educate. So I would say, I remember I was promoted to a regional manager at a very young age, and I look back at some of the mistakes I made. They're so obvious today, but I still use them as examples when I speak. And I just think, it's, even though I felt like I was a nice person, I also, I didn't understand how to lead people. And so, I did have a great mentor that I was able to work under for many years back in those Worthing days. But probably the most, the last 10 years, I've been really focused on podcasts such as yours, listening to leadership series. There's a park by my house. Like if I really have an issue I'm trying to figure out, I'll throw on like an Andy Stanley leadership podcast. And even if the podcast has nothing to do with really what my issue is, by the time I finish the 45-minute walk, I have the answer. It happens every time. It's amazing. So I think just listening to, you just have to always try and be better at being a leader. It is not a natural thing. So that would be my advice.
Yeah. It's a great piece of advice. I call them clarity breaks, and I encourage them, with the people that I talk with all the time. And it's just getting out of the chair and getting out into nature, even listening to a podcast, to your point, that has nothing to do with multifamily. There's always a nugget in there that you can take back. And it's proven scientifically. I don't want to quote because I'm not a scientist, but it is known that if you get up and get out and get some fresh air, you actually can come back and you're more productive. Yeah. So I think that's great. I also think it's great that people can hear that and say, yeah, well, I can learn. I think sometimes people believe that great leaders are just innately born that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the road rash that, tells you otherwise, as do I, as does Paul.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of podcasts, books, and everything like that, what is your favorite podcaster? We know we're kidding, but do you have one that you frequent? And then do you read? Is there a favorite book that you have that you can recommend?
Well, I think I mentioned my favorite is the Andy Stanley podcast series, and there's a Craig Rochelle. Like there's a few of those pastor type leadership podcasts that every time it pops up that there's a new one, like I can't, I'm like, okay, I gotta listen to this one. So those are two of my favorite. It's I would love to say that I read, but I get so tired, it puts me to sleep now. So I listen. I do Audible. I do have a cool book. We're getting ready to do a leadership class, or like our first company conference, I guess. And since we're so focused on hospitality, I will share this. Actually, I happen to have a copy right here. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. It might be backwards. But anyways, it's by Will Guidara, who owned the 11 Madison Park restaurant in New York City, who they became the #1 restaurant in the world. And he talks about how he did that. And it's, with unreasonable hospitality. So it's basically taking hospitality to that next level. So that's, my newest read. And I was like, okay, how can we interpret this into the multifamily world? And I always, when you're in a submarket that's very competitive, maybe you have a few amenities one of the other properties doesn't have, but basically we're all trying to lease, similar, all the apartments have the same 4 walls, very similar boxes. The difference is really what you can bring in as, the team that you bring in and the hospitality that they're able to give to the residents. That's really what's going to make a difference, and how you're going to be able to stand out amongst your competitors. So that's what we're focused and practicing.
That's awesome. And that is a great book, by the way. I haven't read it. It's awesome.
Suzanne, we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay. Awesome. Well, from that, and now, teaching your leadership team new things, or, reminders about hospitality and how it can make a difference. It is like the same, going down the street and even in the retail world, or even the restaurant business. I've noticed like Burger King is standing out to me. Now, I don't eat Burger King. My daughter eats Burger King. She can still do that and get away with it. But they will say, "You rule." Like, after you tell them your order, they're like, "You rule." And then I don't notice anybody else doing that. And every Burger King I've gone to does the same thing. So you just reminded me of that. Yeah. I know it's probably not, but it is. How do you set yourself apart, really, when people are looking at, well, now it's 3 different communities because they researched the 8 online. How do you stand out with your customer service? It'll be good to get back with you and find out what nuggets people took out of the book and put into play at your organization. Yeah. So, okay, we talked about business, and we know you like to walk 45 minutes. What else do you like doing in your free time to keep you balanced and, yeah.
Oh, goodness. I need to walk more, actually. I can say I've not been very good at that. But I love to travel. I'm an empty nester now. So our weekends are, when we stick around home, it's actually sort of boring. So I love, coming up with some, small little trips here and there. I have one daughter that lives in New York and one that just moved to Florida. And then, so we love going to the lake. So it's really about, I think I love the experiences too. Like I love being able to experience the high hospitality, either experiencing it through hotels or restaurants. And so I think that is and we have 4 adorable Cavalier King Charles pets that they're the cutest dogs in the world. So we talk about our dogs all the time, but besides that, it's work.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. And that's awesome that, send recommendations on the travel and where to stay. Like highly would appreciate it. We can do it on the side. I know.
Okay.
And I've already pushed Burger King today, so it's probably enough.
Yeah, I'm going to Burger King. I like that chicken sandwich.
I've eaten there in so many years, but that's the daughter. Well, I think we're at the end, aren't we, Paul?
Yeah, we are. And Tracy, tell us
Mhm.
a little bit more about Gallery from the standpoint of, what's your footprint as far as the areas you're
Right.
in, and
Yeah,
also if someone wanted to reach out to you, how could they do that?
absolutely. So we meant for it to be just a Southeast space, but we did take on a portfolio that had properties in Texas and Arizona. So
Oh,
we're a
wow.
little bit, we're in more states than we originally imagined,
Yep.
but we're basically Virginia down through Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. We just got a property in Kentucky, and then of course we have Texas, and one property in Arizona. So I would say Sun Belt is our focus, and yes, we're always recruiting. And we would love if anyone out there is interested in becoming a Gallery team member. You can, I'll throw my email out there, tbowers@galleryresidential.com. I will gladly put you in with the right person.
Yeah.
So thank you for that opportunity.
It sounds like it's a great culture that you
Mhm.
have, and anybody who's in the industry who's I guess, in some of those markets, probably looking for people in all markets, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on Decoding Multifamily. We're going to be back again next week with another great episode. I want to remind everybody to go to the multifamilymedianetwork.com to learn more about not only this podcast, but other great podcasters and blogs that we have available. But we will see you again next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you again to Chadwell Supply for sponsoring this episode. Chadwell Supply delivers unforgettable service with next day delivery, online and in-person maintenance training, procurement platform, assistance to make your ordering simple. Visit chadwellsupply.com/difference to learn how Chadwell Supply will make your day better.